Welcome back to another episode of the Volt Variety Show. Today is a special episode. I'm joined by my son Jared, where we will talk about adulting, right? What it's like for him to be transitioning from a senior in high school up to now, and kind of what the different endeavors are that he's got to go through. I think it's a great discussion. I was very excited to have him on the show, and I think the interview and discussion went really well. So hope you enjoy. And as I've said in the past, if you like our kind of variety, please leave a comment below, support the show by clicking on the like or subscribe button. And thank you for watching, and we wish you the best life you can have. All right, today I'm joined by my oldest child, my son Jared, who is the ripe age of 20, soon to be 21 in a little over 3 months. And in our discussion today, we're going to be talking about adulting. Right, as Jared went through the process of going from a senior in high school into his adult life here a couple of years, we thought it'd be good to have a discussion, ask some different questions, and understand from Jared's perspective what that's been like. So, Jared, welcome.
How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Excited for our conversation here. So, a couple of years ago, you went through the process of going through a senior year in high school during COVID, right? As a lot of seniors did. There's no other way to say it. They really got screwed. I mean, at the end of the day, they missed out on critical things that were part of their senior year. They weren't around their friends, all those things. And so, what I'd like to do is just kind of, talk, let's put yourself back in that time, at going into senior year, knowing what that was going to be like, kind of dealing with some of those things, let's talk about it. What was it like for you dealing with that, at that time?
I would say it was pretty tough going through all of that. Basically, my senior year when it happened, we kind of didn't know it was happening. My senior year is probably around, I don't know exactly the day, but I think it was like later in the year. We just thought we were going to get a couple-week break. It was great, being a senior. You're almost done. You're getting extra time off. It's great. You're like, cool, another
Sure.
couple weeks that we can take off, do whatever we want in those couple weeks, and then go back to school and finish it out. And then the couple weeks turned into about a month, and that's when we were kind of like, man, we might not go back. It's kind of a crazy thought to be in my senior year and be like, hey, we can't finish. So after those, after that month, it kind of turned into, the rest of our semester, and basically finished out all online classes. I personally didn't like those. I'm not a huge online learner. I'm more of like a in-person, working with my hands, working, inside of the classroom.
Sure. Yep.
But yeah, it was rough. It's a tough thing being a senior. Like you think you're gonna have it all being a senior. You think you're gonna get your graduation, get your prom, get everything you need to do, and we didn't get any of it. Not like barely a graduation, didn't get prom. All those things were taken away, and it was tough.
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah, I think for most people, once they're getting into their senior year, it's pretty scripted. You start your school year, you've got your last homecoming, and then
Yep.
you're going to be ready, moving along and working towards, obviously just finishing out the year kind of strong. You've got whatever school activities that they're going to be. You're going to get prepped for, ultimately to prom and then to graduation. You know what it's supposed to look like, and all of you got thrown for a curveball. And so it definitely went off script, as part of that. Kind of looking back and reflecting on it, was there anything about that COVID year going into it from as a senior, or that you look back and say, well, that part actually wasn't bad? Was there anything about that you looking back at it?
I would say probably the COVID year itself, I would say, is probably the pinpoint of, looking back on it. No one in existence in their high school, their high school career and everything they have going on, has ever had anything like that happen before. And
Certainly.
we were the only year that, I wouldn't say the only year that was affected by it, but the main year that got basically our entire senior year taken away from us. So
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those things where we look back on it and we're like, yeah, we didn't get it, but we are the select group that didn't get it. So that makes us rare.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think that I remember just going to graduation, right? It was just your mother and I, and you kind of went through a line. There wasn't a big to do,
Nope.
quite the same way. We walked through the high school as one of your one of your last times. It was just different. It was eerie in some ways of kind of going through that, and I felt bad for you, obviously, but in general for everybody that was going through it, it was not a fun time. A lot of things kind of going on, and like I said, you guys definitely got robbed.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely a different experience during graduation because that single file line, it was basically A to Z through names. So if you didn't know anybody with your same kind of last name, you didn't see any of your friends, you didn't see any of the people you grew up with for the rest of your life, and you didn't see anybody. You just kind of walked through that line, got out of graduation, as they call it, and went on with everything else that you had to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I mean, even graduation parties were off. We held off because nobody knew what was really going on, right? It was
Yep.
all new, and so we didn't have a traditional graduation kind of party for you like we would have had. Your birthday is not long after you get out of high school, so even that was a little odd. So yeah, there was just a lot of things that were really kind of in motion to there. So let's talk about kind of next steps, right? So you get out of high school, you get out of school, not long after that, you had been living with your mom, and then, not long after high school, got out, you decided to move in, kind of move in with us. And then at some point you then went back to your mom's, and then you moved in with some people that were down the street, if you will, some friends that you knew, etc. And so just talk a little bit about that. What was kind of happening for you, during that time of that transition from being at your mom's to here, back to your mom's, other people. A lot of stuff was happening.
I think there was a lot of moving components. I think it just, being as though, everybody has the script of getting out of high school. Everybody has the, get out of high school, go to college, or, work, or whatever it is. I think some of that being getting out of high school and not having you know, the script laid out how it should have been. It kind of affected some of the other different things that I had to have
Sure.
going on,
Right.
and I think it kind of just, I wouldn't say skyrocketed, but I would say it kind of exploded. There was a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of different things that I had going on, and I kept moving. I just, went with the flow, did what I needed to do to get the things done that I needed to get done, and yep, just kept moving, kept the train a moving.
Yep. So I know once you moved in with us the first time, right? We talked about it, and we kind of had some basic rules in the house, right? And it's from my growing up, right? It was very clear. My dad said, "Hey, you have a place to stay as long as you're bettering yourself,"
Yep.
right? And so we kind of talked about that, and a couple of those things we talked about was, hey, you need to go out and get a job, you need to, or maintain a job, you need to be trying to go to school or something, and so we talked about it. And at some point, you decided to, at least take a jab at going to college, and so talk a little bit about that initial experience, and then ultimately, kind of what you decided after you went for a little bit.
Yeah, so I decided to take on college. I was planning on going into nursing. I've always been one to want to help people. So I decided, yeah, let's do that. I committed, said let's do college. So went in. Again, coming out of my, senior year of high school after the commitment to college, everything is still in the COVID era. So all of our classes were not in person. They were all online. You sat through, everybody knows about Zoom by now. We
Yep,
sat
yep.
through,
Everybody's zoomed. That's right.
we sat through Zoom classes. I necessarily didn't like them. I didn't think it was a great way of teaching. It's not learning through a screen is not as coherent as learning in person and, getting the experiences of being in college and everything like that. So through that experience, I think I went for three semesters, I believe, of college, and then I decided against it. I didn't think it was what I wanted to do. Those 3 semesters, I think I was just, online classes. They, pardon my French, but they sucked. It was awful. I I don't think that's a great way to learn. I don't think anybody else that, had to go through that thinks it's a great way to learn. But that could be just a me preference.
Yeah, I think there's definitely people are different, and some kids probably did okay in that format. I know certainly there are, uh, there were certainly situations where I think by not having the social interactions, probably for some kids that was better for them, and other kids it certainly wasn't. Out of all of the, between you and your sisters, you are certainly the more outgoing. You want to engage with people. Probably the more personable of all of those of the three of you, and so I can see where that would be a big difference for you,
Oh
certainly.
yeah, no, it's yeah, being. I mean, that's a social factor of being in school. I love that factor.
Sure.
I love the. I'm a personable kind of guy. I talk to everybody. I love making friends. I love talking to people. So that stripping that aspect of being in school, it's tough.
Yeah,
It's a rough
yeah. You just
adjustment.
basically were interacting with with Lauren and I. And listen, let's be honest. That's not necessarily a highlight of anybody's life to have to spend a lot of time with us. So I can definitely definitely appreciate that. Um, so you tried to do the school thing. You ultimately said, like you said, right? It wasn't for you. That wasn't your thing. At some point, I think we had talked about, or you had talked about doing real estate, and then and you really were just you were trying to figure things out, trying to figure out what fit for you, really, right?
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was pretty tough, trying to figure out what fit because I think that a lot of things like with being in high school and like I said, I keep saying it, the script it was stripped away and trying to figure out what I wanted to do wasn't as easy as just following the line.
Yeah.
So I did try a few different things. I have a passion for working. I have a passion for striving to make myself better. So I did try the real estate thing.
Yeah.
That was okay. That was all right. I just don't think it was too I don't know the right word.
Well,
It didn't
yeah. I
fit.
mean, well, I think you had some people, right, that were involved. So
I did.
you
Yep.
had, we have, your cousin, my nephew Dwayne, right? He's in real estate, and that guy works seemingly all day, every day, right? There's like no break for him. It's just a different life. And, our real estate agent, Matt, we've known him for years now, multiple houses or whatever. And, that guy is, when we're on vacation, we're out having fun. He's going to the houses on our behalf to walk through things. And so you get that kind of stuff. And it's a demanding job. It can be rewarding, but you also were at a time, I think, in real estate then that was it was booming, right? And so now, obviously, with the economy, et cetera, it's kind of dropped from then, but certainly was a big thing. So, you bounced from jobs, right? You worked when you were here. You worked at the golf range, and then you went to and started working in the restaurant industry. You
Yep.
then jumped over to the car shop. So you did kind of, you definitely were trying
Jack
to
of all
figure out
trades.
what's that.
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, right, right. Which was a good transition because then you decided at some point, hey, you know what, I'm gonna try this trade school thing, and so so talk a little bit about that, the making that venture and trying to go down that path.
Like I said, I've always been one to love working with my hands. I love the in person. I love the satisfaction of getting something done, seeing the result. I love the just the end result, like the reward. That's more my like just seeing the how much work you've put into it,
Well, yeah, you can
and
see what you've built effectively,
yep.
right? And literally,
Yeah,
right,
you
is part of
can
it.
you can see it.
Yeah.
So I decided the trade school I think was going to be. I mean, I'm not going to speak about it too much, but the money is definitely pretty good around that kind of thing. But So the trade school thing was definitely something I was looking towards, and just finished that up here about a week ago. Just graduated from that. So now have the ability to make more money, and I am in a construction job as we speak, and I love it. Love every minute of it. It's going super well. Love the guys.
Yeah.
It's
Well, let's
a
back
super
up
good crew.
for 1 second.
Yeah.
So you know, part of getting the construction job, one of the things that, and we all went with you, right? To
Yep.
kind of see what it was about and ask questions, which I thought was really good. And, in the trade school, right, we talked to them about, what's their guidance. And one of the things they suggested was like, hey, you're going to learn more, you're going to retain more if you have a job that aligns with what we're teaching you. And so
Yep.
you went out trying to do that, and you got your first one,
I
right?
got
Your
my
your
first
first
one.
your
Yep.
first job. So
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 I
talk a little
got
bit about that journey, right?
Yeah, so I got my first one. I think it was probably a few weeks after. I was calling places like crazy. I was making 10, 15 calls a day just trying to look for work. I had some people calling me back, and a couple of them were like an hour from where I was, and I was like, I'm not making that drive.
Sure.
Like that's
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I did find one that was within the distance I was looking for. They did all like the usual finish stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about that, meaning like all the like finish stuff. Like once the house is fully built, they did most of the finish work, like the installing cabinets, installing furniture, installing like that kind of stuff. And that went well for pretty good amount of time. Eventually, just I was not sure if that was exactly what I was wanting to do.
Well, I think because in reality, right, when you talk about construction jobs, if you ask lots of people what they think that means, there can be a lot of different things, right? You'll get different answers about
Oh,
what's
there's
that's really
tons,
part of
yeah.
it. There's lots of interior, exterior, rough construction, finished construction. I mean, so there's so many different things, and so I think you got to take, I can see where somebody could go through it and not be sure or not like some aspects of it. This is why there's people that do plumbing or electrical work or whatever. Those are just different trades. But just general construction, even then, then you take it one step further. You've got the idea of commercial versus, residential, and, very different,
Yep.
kind of things there. Kind of looking at that. So you worked for there. I don't know exactly how long how long you did, and but you learned stuff. You obviously were going to school, going through that, and
Absolutely.
then I think towards the tail end of that particular thing, um, or somewhere along the way, and I don't know exactly when it was, and we'll get back to the job in a second, but you while you were figuring out life and trying to do that, you started hitting the gym, right?
I did. Yep.
And I think everyone that knows where you started from, that saw you as a kid or saw you even when you got out of high school to to what you look like now, big change.
Big change. Yep.
You certainly have bulked up there. So what got you started? How did you decide at some point, hey, I'm going to go start working out at the gym?
I don't know exactly what got me started on it. I think at just some point, like you were saying, coming out of high school, I mean, I'll say it, we're on the air, I'll say it, I was 100 pounds soaking wet coming out of high school. I was small, and I didn't necessarily like it. I thought I could push myself in the gym, and you know push myself to do a lot of stuff like that. And I eventually, I think it was about a year ago now, I decided to commit to it. I had gone previously out of high school, but I wasn't really committed to it. I kind of just went here and there, went with some friends, and But about a year ago, I committed. Said I was going to start going. Made sure I went, 5, 6 times a week. But yeah, the progress has been doing well. I'm loving it. I like gym culture.
Yeah, no, I think I mean it shows, for sure. I think just over time, it's like it's because you were moving, right? You were living, you had gone back to your mom's, and then you moved in with the friends down the street, et cetera. When you did that, we really didn't see you. There'd go a decent chunk of times there where we weren't seeing you. So when we did, all of a sudden it'd be like, wow, all right, Jared's gotten bigger. And then the next time Jared's getting bigger still. And so, it's good that you're committed to it. I certainly, am very happy that you're doing that. I think it, kind of creates that, creates a healthy lifestyle. So,
And it's an outlet.
it's an outlet, right?
And
Yeah. Burn some energy.
You have a good day at work. All right, let's go hit the gym. I'm feeling good about everything I did today. Let's go hit the gym. You have a bad day at work? Let's go hit the gym. I'm a little upset. I can put that into, it's an outlet.
Yeah,
for
a
lot
couple
of
extra
different
reps
emotions.
or whatever. Yeah, for certain, or certainly, as part of that. So along this journey, right, you're figuring out school and education and trying to make yourself better. You've gone some jobs, but now you're kind of into the instruction thing. One thing that's kind of missing a little bit is that, where's the ladies? What's happening on that front? There's not been a lot of ladies that we've been seeing, and I remember at some point we had this conversations, and your sister saying to us, "Oh yeah, Jared's saying he's going out tonight because he's going to slay the ladies."
Oh, yeah.
That's
I do remember that.
I think that was, and I think they were repeating that you had said that you were going to go slay the ladies, and so, so what's happening there? This is part of adulting is having these relationships. You're a personable guy. You like going out there, and I feel like you're going to gym and pushing weights around, but it's a little gap.
Yeah, pushing heavy circles around is a little more easier than picking up a girl. But
well, the other day you were talking about that the women in your generation are a little more difficult. Now I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's them or I don't know if it's you. I think your generation has some challenges in general of itself, but I'm not sure where the blame is necessarily there.
I think the women of my generation are a little more difficult. I think with all there's a lot of culture going around with social media and all sorts of different stuff that's going around that and I'm not saying it's just the women of my generation. I'm not saying that, I'm not gonna throw, point fingers and, but I think it's a little more difficult now. I don't think you find as many genuine women in my generation as you would have, a decade ago. I don't think there's as many. I do find the occasional, dime every so often, but
we have a rule about the women that you date, right? We have a specific rule.
There is a specific rule.
And what is that?
To stay away from K names.
That's right. Stay away from the girls that have K names. We won't name anybody to protect the innocent. Well, I don't know if they're innocent or not, but there's been some crazies and crazies with a K. And so we kind of said, hey, let's not have any more K names. And I think there's actually a second rule, if I remember right. Right? Isn't it that they can't be the youngest in their family too?
Yeah.
There's a combination of factors there that we've kind of talked about.
However that all works.
Yeah.
K names and can't be the youngest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, so you've been figuring a lot of these things out. You get to the end of last year, and then you decide that you're going to you're gonna move back in with us. And I think some things happened where you were staying. They wanted to go in a different direction. Whatever things happened, and then you decided to kind of move back in with us. So what's that been like? Right. So now you're 20, and we've all heard the whole thing, you don't want to live with your mom, kind of thing. And I don't mean mom in a literal sense here. I mean, just, don't live with your parents. Right. And at that thing, but it's common, right? It's not, and I think we talked about that at the very, when you were talking about moving here, there's no shame in it. It is what it is, right? You're trying to figure out life. And as long as you're trying to do better and, then you've got a place to stay. It's always been that way. And I will treat all of you that way. But, but what was it like to decide? Because you were on your own. You really were. You were out. You weren't with your mom. You weren't here. You were living on your own. And then to say, okay, come back into our household. What's the transition?
It's tough. Adulting is tough. You're laughing about it, but it's tough. It's a lot different than it was a while ago. It's prices, payments, bills, it's all gone up. It's all, it's tough. It's a tough life. I gave it a shot. Um, with the like you were saying, I was living on my own for a while with a couple friends. Um, some different details inside of there. It was working. It was good, but
Yeah, I don't remember how long you were there. 6, 7,
probably
8 months.
6, 7, 8 months,
Yeah,
something
something
like
like
that.
that. Yeah, seems right.
And it was working, but it's one of those things. Like they were the couple friends that I was with, they were a couple. So it was good. Like it wasn't nothing wrong with it. They liked me. I liked them.
So you're saying they didn't kick you out because you didn't put away your dishes or have
No,
a messy
no,
room?
no,
Okay, so what's
no.
the problem here with those things? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I won't distract.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
we're
Continue on.
gonna. Anyway, no, nothing like that. It's just tough. I think there's just I wanted to give them their space. They have a life to live just as much as I do.
Okay. Yeah.
They gave me a place to stay, place to be, and but I wanted to let them live their life as much as I needed to as well. So
Yeah.
I made the decision to come back. That does suck being a 20-year-old guy. It does kind of when you've hit defeat. It
Hit
does.
defeat. That's the. I guess that's a way of looking at it, right?
You've been
Well, I
I
think you
don't
also around that same time window, right? I think you also kind of got to the point where it was also, I think, time to change and do something different on the construction, right? So you had
Yep.
the same window. So was the moving side going to do something different, right? In
Oh
terms
yeah,
of
there was
kind
a
of
lot of a
kind of
lot of
career
different moving
things,
parts.
and when you're not, while you're trying to figure that out, if you're not working, and then all of a sudden now you have extra bills. So there's a lot of factors there, I think, that kind of come in that. So we're getting close to where we are now, right? In terms of timeline to your you just finished up trade school. You mentioned that earlier.
Yep.
You formally graduate, in here in just a couple weeks. Um, and what's what's next? You're obviously on to your next construction job, and so let's talk about that. What's kind of next? What's going on with the new job?
So this job is great. I love every minute of it. So I am in a rough construction job. It's all residential. So instead of designing the house, we build the house. So from the ground up, we're basically put out there. It's an empty lot. We're basically put on you know, a slot of grass, and they're like, here's our plans, here's what we want it to look like, and we build it. So we do all the rough framing. We frame the house, we build the entire thing, and then we will do some occasional installing windows and that kind of stuff, but that's all. That's usually a different process, so we don't do a ton of that. But it's been working. I love every minute of it. I enjoy waking up. Everybody hates Mondays. That's Mondays, but I don't have a problem with it at the moment. I'm usually up and at 'em on Mondays in the morning and enjoy doing it.
Yeah, no, I certainly, it seems like now I would say that probably unlike your first one, because this is building from kind of the ground up, like you said, you're far more impacted by weather, right? And
Oh
so I
yeah,
think that was a
yep,
little bit of an adjustment. One, if they do decide to work and it's still cold out and not raining, it's cold out, even though it's not raining, right? And
yep.
so that's not necessarily fun per se to go out and work, kind of work there. Um, so so obviously now you're in this rough construction and residential rough construction, and so it's a little bit different. Do you is there anything else different about this job from your last one?
I think another thing about being in this job for my last one, I was a laborer in my last one. So laborer basically means I mean, I'm not going to say the word that, a lot of guys through different companies will say is you're the company blank. Um, but that's essentially what that means. So laborer, basically, you're handling material, you're handling jobs that other guys don't want to do, and they're going to give off to you, things of that nature. So you're doing the work that nobody really else wants to do.
Yeah,
So you're
it's the grunt work.
it's the grunt
It's the
work.
grunt work.
Yep.
It's the you are the muscle, right? In some
Yep.
cases, you've told stories about sitting around trying to hold up beams and things of that nature because you're one of the strong guys that's there amongst the other strong guys and like, hey, hold this in place for a while while we do whatever we need to do. So,
Yep.
but that is part of the life, right? Is as you want to go and expand and grow in a particular field, right? There's a lot of things that you've got to be able to do to make that happen. And so, I think you've grown to understand that. It's your first one. You were kind of you were the
Yeah,
grunt,
I was
right?
it's so yeah, doing all that kind of stuff. I was jumping around a lot in that one. So I was jumping from, different site to different site. There's all sorts of different work at all of them with the last one that I was at. So it was definitely different than the one I'm at right now. The one I'm at right now, I'm at the same site every day for months on end until that house is standing. So I see the same guys every day for months, and it won't change. The guys that are there, we have a specific crew, so our whole crew is gonna stick together.
Yeah, that's good.
On
That's good. You get a team that you kind of
We
learn
have a
how each
team.
other
Yep.
works and the strengths and weaknesses of people, particularly on the team, certainly, is about that. So, which is good. I certainly can relate to that. I like getting my core team of people and I know what we're capable of doing and who I can rely on for different things, et cetera. So that certainly is is a key part of it. So, this will be the second construction job. You obviously have been to school.
Yep.
What's next? Are you going to try to do something more schooling wise? What's the plan there?
Um, so my ultimate goal is to have my own construction business. That's my ultimate goal. I wanna prove myself enough to be able to work and do everything I need to be doing. But eventually, I want to build something of my own. I want to build my own business. I want to put work out there that's it's coming back to my own business and everything like that. Get a group of guys under me that know the trade, know it well enough, can a group of management, a group of guys, a couple crews, stuff like that. I'd love to be doing that one day. That's
Well,
my goal.
I mean, listen, it's a great goal, right? And there's the thing about those kinds of jobs, and I think we've talked about this before. I think there's a stigma about people coming out of school and that they got to go to college, and if they didn't finish college or they don't go to college, that they're somehow less than or not as qualified. Well, you know what? There's plenty of good, high quality paying jobs that are very honorable jobs, right? We've obviously done a lot of work in our house here, and you know what? I've written some pretty big checks to people, right, that are working here, and I have the ultimate respect for those people, right? I don't look at them any differently, and people shouldn't. Just because somebody didn't go to college doesn't mean they can't be really successful in life and really successful at life and really successful in their careers, right? As part of that, so so definitely, I'm very proud of the progress that you've made and the direction that you're heading. I'm excited to kind of see where where it goes. So it feels like, given that that's your that's your goal, whether you want to do that, construction's your thing, that's your career, that's the
That's
path, the lane that you're kind of found that fits for you and in the direction that you're going to go in.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely 100%. I am certain that's where I should be. I've found it.
Okay, that's great. And I think for a lot of people in your age, especially even people that are still going to college, right? So you graduate from high school, most people are going to be in college till about 22, 23 or whatever. And in doing that, people come out of it and they don't know what their plan is. We know lots of people that have graduated from college and they're still not sure, or they change degrees in the middle of it. And so for you to be at 20 and say, hey, you know what, this is my thing. I enjoy it. I like doing it. And now it's just for you, it's just a matter of more about learning, right? And you just got to continue to learn, kind of going through that. So, we've talked through kind of really, at the end of the day, about a 2-year span of your life, right? From getting out of high school, you weren't quite 18 yet, but getting out of high school to now, you've been adulting, right? You've been doing some of those. What do you think in general, looking back from then to now, what do you think has been the hardest part of kind of that transitioning into adult life?
I think one of the main transitions into adulting, and this is actually coming from one of my foremans that I actually work with, was saying, so he's always said, and I've heard him say it a bunch of times while he's been working, from the hours of 9 to 5, nobody gives a hell about your feelings.
Nah.
That's been a huge transition. Like while you're at home and you're elementary, middle, high school, everybody gives everything about your feelings. They give it all. That's all they're there for. And then once you get out, nobody cares. You are on your own.
Yeah, there is, there is some harsh reality to aspects of that, right? Is that when you're working for somebody, you're out doing that, while yes, they want you to be happy. They generally want you to be in a good space. They've got a job to do. They have a mission to deliver, right? And so, if your feelings, to your point, get in the way of that, you're like, hey, what's going on? You can go deal with that.
Yep.
Don't bring that
you're
in
having
here.
a bad day. That kind of sucks, but we got a job to do.
Yeah, right. It doesn't stop. Yeah, just because you're having a bad day doesn't mean that the trains get to stop running. They still got to be there and be on time. So so I can certainly appreciate the sentiment. I think it's true. And in your obviously in your field, you've got time windows, right? You've got to get through certain things. And then when you guys get impacted by weather, it just changes the calendar, changes the timeline and aspects of that, which obviously that's out of your control. But hey, you're paid to do a certain job, and completion at certain stages and those kinds of things I think are really important. So, being available and not having feelings get in the way are certainly part of that. And that is definitely a harsh reality that I think is, I think there's some truth to that. So you're at this point, you're going to be, 21 here, not too long, but, for those that might be listening, and looking into this, what would be your suggestion? We have a bunch of people. We just interviewed your sister, a week or so ago. She's about to graduate to move on to the next stage in her life. What would be, for those people that are about to make the transition, or maybe last year are still going through this transition, and that, what would be any guidance or suggestions you might make for them?
I would say don't rush it. I would say everything that you've got going on, everything that is going on in your life, it's all happening for a reason. Even if it's bad, it's going to happen for a reason. I wouldn't say rush anything that's, you have going on. I think it's all going to work out how you want it to work out. Whether it's soon, whether it's later, it'll all work out eventually. Don't rush it. Don't overstress yourself about little things that, you have very little control over. On top of, like you said earlier, on top of bettering yourself, do what you want to be doing. Live your life. Do what you want to do.
Certainly.
Work, do everything that you would like to be doing. But don't rush anything. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I think it's sound advice, and for for parents out there and other people that are thinking about these kinds of things for their kids, for us, we've never really pushed any of you to go into a particular direction. It didn't matter to us, right? We wanted to put up guardrails, right? So that way we needed you to make sure that you were going in a direction which really was about bettering yourself and moving things forward. But it wasn't preconceived, hey, you've got to go become this or be that. And I encourage those people that are having kids, that if you can help and give them opportunity to kind of figure things out on their own while you support them, it's great. Right. And there's got to be limits to that. Right. I know I have some people that I know that they have people that are living with them that are now, in their late 20s. And so, and it's like, okay, at some point, how much time do you give them to figure those things out? I don't know. I don't know exactly what that looks like. And it's probably easier for me to sit here and say that I would do something different because none of you have gotten me to that particular point. But, I think patience and not rushing it and just being, particular about what you want. Try different things. I mean, we went through it. You've worked at, golf ranges. You've worked in the restaurant industry. You've worked, at the banquet center. You've worked at mechanics and car shops. So you've had a lot of different kind of opportunities to see what really resonated with you. And certainly, this seems like a good fit. And like I said, very proud of the progress that you're making. So
try new things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, take some chances and see what see what you think fits. So, you know what? I think we're going to wrap up. Certainly appreciate the conversation, and I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. I know I did. Jared has been pushing me to be able to come back and talk about things like sports. So we'll see if we can fit that. If we can try to find some time to talk through that. We just came out of the NFL draft, so.
We definitely should talk about sports.
So we'll see.
There's a lot to talk about with that.
All right, we'll see what we can fit in there. So anyway, thank you all very much, Jared. Thank you for participating.
Absolutely.
And we'll catch all of you later. Bye.